So I made 6 figures in one day as a college freshman. That changed my life.
Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I have a very special guest, the person that changed the trajectory of my life and the trajectory of a lot of other people's lives too. If you don't know Tim Sykes, after this video, you're gonna wanna follow him. And if you don't know me, make sure you stick around because I'm also gonna share my story. So in this video, we're gonna do a deep dive on how we both got started with trading and what other people don't tell you about day trading, and also what goes on behind the scenes of the Tim Sykes challenge. So Tim Sykes, thank you for doing this.
Thanks for having me on your channel. Comment, like, and subscribe. You need more subscribers. You deserve it.
Thank you.
Show some love. She works hard at this. You can't imagine the amount of preparation here. This is crazy. I'm nervous because of your preparation.
So real quick, I'm Mari, I'm a millionaire trader, and I'm also Timothy Sykes' first female millionaire student, and I started teaching day trading. So it's something that I became very passionate about, and this guy needs no introduction, but I'm gonna make him do one anyways.
Hi, I'm Tim Sykes. I've been trading for longer than she's been alive, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. And now I've been teaching for nearly 20 years. You know, trading has changed my life. It's my family's life. 50 plus millionaire students now. I trade with a small account to teach the process. But when I was trading big, I turned $12,000 into nearly $8 million. I think it's amazing what you can do with trading, with rules, with studying. As Mari proves, as a lot of my other millionaire students prove, you know, 50 plus millionaires, you know, probably like 3/4 of them. It's actually closer to 80. Some people don't want to be public. I'm okay with that. I've made my peace. But like, trading can really change your life if you take it seriously, or it can be the most frustrating, lonely, annoying thing if you're not following the rules. And frankly, sometimes like if it's just a bad market.
Yeah.
How do you navigate?
Honestly, I feel like the markets is something that has completely changed so many people's lives. But again, I feel like every single year, it's always different. There's always a different cycle and there's always something to learn. And that is why I wanted to have you on, because you've had such an incredible journey since you first started. You were trading really big size, you were in college, and you were, you know, doing so many things all at once, but you still managed to become the person that you did, even though you were the pioneer.
Yeah.
Now we have all this information where you can just click a YouTube link where you can see all of the stories of the people that started trading before us. But then you didn't have that. You were one of the first ones, and like I've heard also, you were in college. You were trading from a sketchy laptop and you had no knowledge before that. So tell me, what was it like?
This was pre-laptops. I'm that old. I literally was trading from the library in high school and college. When you don't know anything, you're just in the dark, like, you know, many students are in the beginning of their journey, and you try different trades through trial and error. When I was starting, I was fortunate I was there during a mania. I have to admit that when you're there in a mania, everything seems so easy. I didn't know what was going on. I thought I was lucky, maybe gifted or something. Some people thought I was a fraud, but I was like, I just see the patterns and it keeps repeating. And if you find a pattern that repeats, whether it's a mania, whether it's a choppy market, you go with that pattern. And in high school, I made a little over 100 grand senior year of high school. Freshman year in college, I made 700 grand in 4 months, which was crazy. And then the last 8 months of the year 2000, when the NASDAQ crashed, I lost $10,000 because my pattern wasn't there. We talk about big numbers, but like you have to delve into each day, every pattern, every play, and you break it down to the nuances. How can you maximize any market? And then also have perspective, right? Now we have a lot of traders sharing. Thank you for sharing your lessons, your ups and your downs. You're sharing a lot of lessons about how to live with trading, which is very difficult because like it's such a weird job, you know, like we both know Stratty, one of my other millionaire students, lead trainer of Inner Circle, and he had $130,000 a month in March. He was crushing it. He was so pumped. And then April, he lost $2,000. What kind of job where you go from $130,000 in 1 month? He tried the exact same stuff, same amount of effort in April, and it just didn't work. So you have to know the ups and the downs.
That leads me to something that I've always wondered. In the beginning, what was like a trade that told you, okay, I actually have an edge here? And not just like, I got lucky, like this is a crazy market, because you started in a mania.
Yeah.
Do you remember what point in time where you're like, okay, I actually can do this?
So I was buying stocks into the close, selling the next morning. It was almost entirely overnight trades. unbeknownst to me, I was riding boiler room stocks that were being pitched over dinner time. So people would put their buy orders in. There was no pre-market trading. There was no after hours trading. So the market closed at 4 p.m. Then people would get pitched the boiler room stuff over dinner, which we found out later. They would put in all the buy orders and the stock would gap up 10, 20, 30% on Monday. It usually works well over the weekend because there are more calls being made. I'm holding stocks literally every night, overnight. I notice a specific pattern Friday to Monday, which I still see these days. You know, this is 20, 25 years plus later. It's not boiler rooms, but when the stock market is closed and people start doing research, they get excited, but because the market is closed, they can't put in buy orders. It's really that simple. When an iPhone comes out, everyone lines up outside the Apple store ready for that new iPhone. When the stock market opens on Monday, if you're in the stock that everyone's talking about from Friday, the stocks gap up 10, 20, 30%. So that pattern still works. And there was one trade in February of 2000 where I went big. I put in 3/4 of my account, which was stupid. I don't recommend that. I was worth $250,000 at the time. I put in like 170,000 and my 250,000. I was like, let me try this. With ISCO, they announced that they were gonna be on TV over the weekend. So I thought, okay, this is gonna be a hype play. It was already up from 5 to 17 on the week. They had this superconductive technology that made cell phones not fuzzy. Back then, cell phones were very fuzzy in reception, and they claimed they could fix it. They were going to be on TV, they were going to show off their miracle technology, and I thought, okay, let me go big. So risky, you know, what if they didn't show the on TV? It was already up from 5 to 17. I bought 10,000 shares roughly. I thought that it could gap up to like 20, 22, 24, and I could make like 10, 20, 30,000, which maybe 40,000 max. That would have been my biggest gain ever. But instead it gapped up to 27. Even before I could sell, it was like 28, 29, because there was no pre-market order, so it just kept going. So I made 6 figures in one day as a college freshman. That changed my life.
What were your parents thinking during this time?
They didn't know what was going on. They're just riding the whole journey. We didn't know. I was growing up in like a middle-class neighborhood. We couldn't afford really to travel. I mean, when I made 100,000 senior year of high school, that was like huge money. Then 700,000 in the first 4 months of my freshman year in college. They were just like, do whatever you want, you know? So It was crazy, and trading really can snowball like that. With you, right? You started off small. What did your parents think when you first made your first big, you know, $100,000, $200,000?
My story was different because I have heard a lot of people reach out and they say, well, the people around me are not very supportive of what I'm doing. My parents are very
Your mom
supportive.
and Charlie rock. Charlie!
Woohoo! Charlie actually got me into trading. He had always wanted me to be that entrepreneur, that work for myself, because he also had to deal with working for other people. So he always told me, that's a very difficult job and I really want you to think outside the box. I wanted to go to college, but my dad didn't go to college and he said, you don't need it. He owns a company, he invests as well. So
Agreed.
Behind the scenes, he was always sending me a bunch of finance articles telling me, you can do something else. But in finance, it's like very difficult to understand the lingo. I was very lost. I didn't know what I was doing.
How old were you?
I was 16.
You're young.
He was already sending me all of these articles.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
And I'm reading through them because I love reading, but I don't understand anything they're saying. I'm like, well, what is all these banks and all of this like heavy information? So I didn't know what was going on. That's when in one of those like little ads, you came up. But like the thing that I like about the way that you present the information, it's easy to comprehend as a beginner.
Yeah.
You're not talking to this advanced trader that you need $400,000 to start day trading, and then here you are making 2, 3, 4%.
Yeah.
You're talking to beginner traders who have a small account, want to get started, don't know a lot, and then you have all of these videos sharing all of the information. I understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
I get it.
Good.
You're talking to me. I'm like, Dad, what about day trading? And he said day traders can make a lot of money,
Nice.
which is true. But day traders can also lose a lot of money, because the problem with the stock market is I feel a lot of people get into stock trading for the money and for the outcome.
Yeah, for the wrong reasons.
Yes, for the wrong
I
reason.
don't realize the preparation that it takes to succeed, because it's very tempting when you have money, no different than Vegas. Like if you have money in your hands and you can bet it, you're like, come on, double my money on red, right? Yeah. And in trading, you have access to a lot of money with one click of a button.
It's too easy.
It's way too easy.
Way too active.
It's getting easier. The pattern day trader rule is going away.
Exactly.
So people are going to be free to do whatever you want. But like Spider-Man teaches us, with great power comes great responsibility, right? You need to be extra careful. Otherwise, the money just goes away.
Yeah.
You've had some big losses. We'll talk about those where the money just goes crazy and you don't know what's going to go on, right?
A lot of parents and a lot of people that are like not being supportive, they can have a misconception that day trading is gambling. But it's because the mindset behind people that are actually trading, the mindset is, how can I make money quick? And they don't understand that day trading is a profession. Day trading should be taken seriously because it is hard-earned money. You're putting it in the market. You can call yourself a trader with a laptop, a couple $1,000s, and that's pretty much it. And that's why there's so many people that gamble and don't understand what really goes on. You need to understand what volume is, what resistance is, how to track your losses, how to manage your emotions platform. So there's so many things that go behind trading that a lot of people just don't understand. And then people are like, oh, my friend from like back in the day was telling me that they lost it all in the stock market. Well, probably because they had it as a hobby and they were just trading on the side.
Yeah.
So that's what happens with day trading, and that's why we want to share everything that we know from experience, because we've been through it. We know what it's like to lose a lot of money, but we also know what it's like to make a lot of money. And based on the experience that we have, we try to share it so that you guys don't make the same mistakes. Because I had so many people teaching me, but you didn't.
I had nobody.
Yeah.
That sucked.
But that is incredible, because all of the things that you learned, I feel like now you can share to everybody. And one of the famous stories that you have is you turned $12,000 into $1 million.
Yeah.
But I want to know, what was it like in your teenage years? What was Tim like before anything, before the first trade was ever there?
I mean, I always get obsessed with something, right? Where like, I mean, now you see me, I'm here in Italy, I'm obsessed with like restaurants and trying all foods. And
We're all very full.
You're like, you order way too much, but I'm obsessed with it. Trading, I got obsessed with. Teaching, I got obsessed with. Before all that, I was a tennis player, and my obsession actually led to my injury. I overtrained because I lost in junior year of high school. I lost in the state finals. I was so heartbroken over like this last second loss. It was a marathon match, and I was like, senior year, I'm gonna win it all. So I'm like lifting every day. I'm playing 5 to 7 a.m. before school. I'm playing again after school from 3 to 5 p.m. I overtrained, and I frankly ripped up my elbow, and I had Tommy John surgery. So I couldn't play tennis anymore. Like literally senior year of high school, I wanted to be state champion. I was serving underhand because I couldn't even serve overhand because my elbow was so messed up. Then I got surgery, out of tennis completely, already into college early admission. The stock market was going crazy. My dad calls it a multi-million-dollar injury now. I think it's good to get obsessed where if you want to be the best at something, you have to put in so much time. Even for this interview, you have all these notes, you've set all this up. I'm like inspired, right? You want to be the best at this. So if you want to be the best, you put in that extra time because most people won't.
The common denominator behind a lot of traders that are actually successful?
Obsession.
There comes to a point where that obsession can lead to burnout, which happened to me, but frankly, all of the people that I have ever talked to that are successful in this business is not treating it as a hobby. It's because they actually dug deep into what trading really is. So you need to be obsessed. You were already obsessed with tennis.
Just transferred my obsession. What were you obsessed with?
I was obsessed with school.
There you go.
So that's like a weird obsession,
ice
but I
cream?
loved school.
Weren't you obsessed with ice cream?
I loved ice cream. I wasn't obsessed with ice cream. Maybe that's why I didn't pursue it.
But you were serving it to others. You weren't having it for yourself.
That's true.
So that was the problem. Do they know that? Have you talked about your ice cream to Rich's story?
Well, this is actually one of the stories that opened my eyes, because I went to Colombia for about a year. I already had the Tim Sykes challenge, but I wasn't taking it seriously. I was listening to the webinars. This was in 2017. I was listening to the stories. I was just getting the hang of things, but sometimes I was like, I don't know if this is for me, because it is such a boy-dominated industry. So I'm like seeing all these computers, all these men. I can't relate to it because there are no other women traders. So I'm like, who can I look up to? You had Tim Gertani, you had Jack, you had Michael Good, and you didn't have any women that I could relate to. So frankly, I was bored. And on the side, I had like little makeup videos because I wasn't even watching day trading.
Confessions of Mari.
I was not into it in the beginning. So it was so eye-opening because I went to Colombia in 2017 and I was just there for a whole year, and it was so eye-opening how difficult it is.
Yeah.
It is actually so difficult to work from certain hours and then clock out at certain hours. My feet hurt. I was like serving people. I was going all over the place. And I understand that can also be very successful and like you can also take it very seriously. But to me, being in Colombia, you have to work very, very hard. And then you also have certain hours and like you might have somebody watching over you all the time.
And you get paid very little.
Very, very, very little.
There's no exponential income growth.
Yes.
Like even if you're employee of the month, you might get a 5 or 10%
Yes.
raise. Like I was saying with Stratty, where he can make 6 figures in 1 month. Obviously it's not every month, but like you have that upside. That's trading versus a normal job.
Yes.
My buddy actually had a fruit business selling fruit on the side of the road in New Jersey. And this was, I mean, I had already made a lot of money, but I was also on a losing streak. And I was like, let me see what it's like to have a real job. So I got up at 5 a.m. I went to work with his workers. I'm like lifting fruits on the truck. I'm going around to all the stands, lifting the, like, again, I'm not in that great shape. So I'm like, my arms are like trembling by the end of the day. And literally it's all day, like from morning until evening. And then we placed the unsold fruits back on the truck, and he like handed me like $80 and he's like, good job. And I was like, oh my God, like when you have that comparison of like what a real job is like, it's hard versus trading. So trading might be hard to learn and you have to be obsessed and you need to learn the rules, but the upside just makes it so much more worth it. You can be the best ice cream scooper, I can be the best fruit seller in the world, and we're not gonna make more than like, you know, 50,000 a year, maybe 70,000 a year. In trading, you can make that in one day.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I was making like $10. And I was working so hard. Like my feet hurt. I was like serving people. Some people didn't like the order. I was like, oh my God, I don't know what you want me to do. So it is very, very extremely difficult. And then I went back to like what my dad used to say. And now I was actually living it. I'm like, okay, wow, what my dad said actually is insane. And I had this incredible opportunity. Trading is very difficult for like the first few years, but then in the end, it's like that reward where all of the hard work can become your reality and you can exponentially grow as much as you want to, because every trader has different goals. You might want to make $500 for the rest of your life, or if you want to scale up and you have to like really be careful that you're not losing a lot, then you can also do that.
Yeah.
So trading can bring exponential growth and it can also be super rewarding. That opportunity just like opened my eyes. And now it's almost as if everyone has that same opportunity. It just depends how you treat it.
Everyone has the opportunity, but the vast majority of people still just want hot picks. They want alerts. They want to copy others. They don't want to take the time and learn the intricacies, because you and I are different. Fiance Jack is different. We also have another millionaire in the house, Juan. He had $1 million year last year. He's different. Trading is not just about hot picks or alerts.
No.
Picks and alerts are good to show you like which stocks are in play when something is moving, but at the same time, you have to find your own pattern, your own time of the day. You have to make it your own.
Yeah.
You have to really take it seriously. So that's why I applaud you on this channel, and I applaud you guys for watching, because you want to learn. Some people are like, shut up, stop talking, just give me a hot pick. No, you have to change, okay? You have to get into the nuances. Otherwise, you're just not going to make it.
Exactly. Going into a little bit of the trading topic, there's a lot of people that either want to start day trading or they're already day trading and they're not consistent. Could you tell us the different eras of your life and how it changed? You've had a lot of eras, different eras throughout this whole thing, and you're still here. That's very difficult to do. It requires a lot of adaptation throughout the years, but you had years where you had your day trading and then you had your hedge fund, which not a lot of people talk about. So tell me more about that hedge fund and how you changed into teaching, and then a little bit of the rest of the eras.
Every year, it's a little bit of a different market. Some years are better than others. And you're also living life, and you have to really be introspective about what works for you and what doesn't work for you. So there's two moving targets, the market and you. And you have to obviously try to get in line. Top Gun 2, we went to this place in Utah. We all wore American flag hats.
That was a great movie.
It was a great movie, but it's like a fighter jet. If you're in a fighter jet and you're flying and you're moving, and then you have the enemy and the enemy is moving, and so you have to try to get in line where the enemy is in the target and it's a bullseye. Then you click fire and you destroy the enemy. You have to think about the market like that bullseye, where it's like, can you hit the bullseye? And that bullseye is different for everybody, right? So for me, in the beginning, I'm just trying to maximize everything because I don't know how big I can make this. When I made my first million, I thought I was the greatest trader in the world. I had no idea that people make that like in a day. It took me, several years. And when there were no trades from my strategy, the last 8 months of the year in year 2000, it forced me to short sell because there were no more buys. The market was crashing. So then 2001, 2002, I made my second million basically by short selling because the buys weren't working. So I had to adapt. Doesn't matter how good you are at any one pattern. If the market decides bye-bye pattern, you're lost. The first million I basically made long, second million I made going short. Now I think, okay, I realize what I can do. Senior year of college, I started a hedge fund. Not ideal to start a hedge fund while in class, because sometimes I would go to class and miss a trade. Sometimes I'd take the trade and miss a class. Sometimes I would take a meeting and miss a class and a trade. It was a terrible mix. But I wanted to grow my trading account without taking such personal risk, right? So I became basically half my fund. I only got up to like $3 million, but half of it was mine, $1.5 million roughly. And I wanted to go bigger, but with my short bias strategy, I really gravitated towards shorting back then. I could only make a few $100 grand a year. There weren't that many shares to short. I have a whole YouTube video called No Borrow, No Cry, right? Where I list 77 pump and dumps that I saw a crash, there were no shares to short. Now there's actually more shares to short, but now there's more short squeezes. So I tried to go bigger. As a hedge fund, I was only making a few $100 grand a year. I was a pipsqueak in the hedge fund industry. So I tried going long with my friend's dad company who invented printed home ticketing. I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna be an investor. Let me try that. And they were doing well. They got deals with Expedia, AOL, Six Flags, Universal. It was like this small startup. I was like, this is gonna be amazing. Mark Shapiro, the head of Six Flags, when we installed the printed home ticketing kiosk, he hugged me and he hugged everybody. And he was like, this machine is gonna change the world or change the industry. And I put in another $100 grand. Long story short, the technology was good, the company was bad. I lost a third of my hedge fund by believing in this company. It's a tough lesson. Then I was in Wall Street Warriors. Wall Street Warriors, the TV show aired, blew up. And then I was like debating, should I keep trading? Because I could still make money shorting, but it was a very small market. I wasn't very good as an investor, as I proved. And then everyone's clamoring for me to teach them because of Wall Street Warriors being hit. So I closed down the hedge fund, got into teaching, which everyone's like, what? Teaching is like all snake oil salesmen, it's all fakes. But I was like, no, let me teach the longs, the shorts, let me just be real about everything. So I went back to my $12,000. At that point, I had made like roughly 3 million in trading profits. But I went back to 12,000. There was a website called Covestor. It tracked all of the trades. And I was like, I'm gonna redo my fee, 12,000 into $1 million. Didn't quite happen that way. After 3 years, 12,000 had grown into 250,000, not bad. And I tracked everything. I was number one on Covestor out of 60,000 traders, just percentage wise. But again, I'm really good at small amount. That's when I realized, let me teach other people how to really just focus on growing a small account. And so I started the Millionaire Challenge, where I was like, I'm gonna create millionaires. It's my challenge. The first 4 years, I'm millionaire challenged because there's 0 millionaires, right? Everyone's like, oh, I thought you were gonna create millionaires. I thought it was gonna be so easy. But then in 2013, both Michael Good and Tim Sykes hit $1 million after starting with just a few $1,000s. We got featured on CNN. That went viral because Tim Sykes, had turned 1,500 into $1 million in 3 years since he joined the challenge, but he made nothing his first year. So this is how crazy trading is, where it's like, you want it to be like this exact formula, this universal truth. It's so different year in, year out. Sykes made 0 his first year, 0. While studying and trading every day, plus or minus 100 or 200. Year 2, year 3, he got it. He was in tune with the market, crossed over $1 million. Now, a decade later, he's over 15 million. You just have to figure that out. And then for me now, it's just trying to create more millionaires, trading with a small account, donating my trading profits to charity, and really understanding that I'm good at trading a small account. I'm good at teaching other people how to trade a small account. I'm bad at big account trading. I get too emotional because I never had a teacher. I don't have the proper framework. I don't have the proper foundation. And that's what I love about you and all the other millionaire students. You guys have a proper foundation. But even you've decided to pull back a little bit. Yeah. And that's okay too. It's not always just about making as much as you can. You have to adapt.
I feel like day trading is all about learning yourself. It does have so much to do. It's probably like, I don't even know how much percentage it would be to learn the strategies, the foundation, how to track all of your trades and your emotions. But at the end of the day, it's all about how you can turn everything that you taught us into our own person.
Yeah.
Because we all trade so different and we've had so many different eras. I feel like we've all gone through all of the different market cycles, but we always go back to the person that we are. And also the market also exposes like who you really are.
It exposes your weaknesses, right? If you get too greedy and let's say you're on a good streak, but then you're like, let me just go bigger. Let me just go all in, or let me use leverage. Then you get, usually sent back, right? So like the market will teach you in a very expensive way. Or maybe you're undisciplined. Maybe you can get away with not cutting losses in a hot market and you're like, oh, it always comes back, right? And so you keep doing that. Let's say your account is growing in a hot market just because of the hot market, not because of you. And because you don't have the proper risk management, then the market changes, you lose everything because you didn't know how to cut losses quickly. So you can't fake it. The market will expose your strengths and your weaknesses. And it's kind of beautiful. Like you find out a lot about yourself, but you really have to get introspective and blunt about who you are, what you want, what you're good at, and what you're bad at.
Yeah. And your number one rule is cut losses quickly. So what was a trade that you remember where you didn't do that and you regret it and you still to this day think about that trade?
It's Sigma C transactions. This was my best friend's dad's company. I believed in the technology. I had restricted stock. I had unrestricted stock. I was so invested and I was like, they had deals with AOL, Expedia, Six Flags, Universal. I'm like, this is an amazing company, right? Unfortunately, I fell in love with the technology. The company is different. As the company was failing, the stock was going lower and lower. It turned out to be a penny stock. I didn't even know it was going to be a penny stock when I invested. It was a private company. Penny stocks just come to me. But I couldn't sell all my shares. There wasn't enough volume. So I learned about liquidity. Doesn't matter how much I love the company. The stock is dropping. I'm like, what's going on? One by one, they screwed up all of their contracts, as most small companies do. My best friend's dad actually got thrown out of the company. The new CEO, Stephen K. Brown, looked at me over coffee saying, don't worry, Tim, your investment is fine. You're invested in a good company. I'm like, good. A few weeks later, bankruptcy, which wipes out me and all the other debt holders and shareholders. Unbeknownst to me, that bastard, Stephen K. Brown, bought the company in bankruptcy, changed the company name, somehow kept all the contracts, later sold the company for $100+ million. I was right about the technology. I actually turned out to be right about the company, but I didn't anticipate such a sleazy CEO. That can happen. I wasn't cynical enough. You have to expect the worst out of every company, every management. Management will never tell you the truth. I couldn't cut losses. That helped me develop the plan where I only want to trade liquid volatile stocks. I don't want to do any restricted stock. I don't want to fall in love with the technology. I want to partake in a run-up. And with the stocks that we trade, they're running 50, 100, 200% with tens or hundreds of millions of volume every day. So I never had that problem again, but it was a tough lesson. I lost roughly $1 million.
Unbelievable. That's why it's so important to understand how volatile stocks are. Because a lot of people start out and they start out with a small account and then they think they have to go all in to make like $200, $300, $400. But no, the point is not to make any money. The point is to not lose so big that your account gets wiped. Because once your account gets wiped, you might not be able to keep going, or maybe you lose motivation.
Your confidence is all messed up, like your whole journey is messed up.
It's just
you have to survive your learning curve. That's priority number one. A lot of my millionaire students did still blow up their first account or 2 accounts or 3 accounts. Kyle Williams, another millionaire, he's coming here in a few days. Yeah, I think he blew up 3 accounts, losing like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. So I encourage you to start small and obviously trade small. You're probably not going to listen to me. You're probably not going to trade small. You'll probably blow up. Remember, I warned you. Students hear it a little bit, but sometimes they're watching makeup tutorials, so they're not listening, right? So they hear it, but then they break the rules, and then they remember that I warned them about the rule that they broke. Sometimes you have to lose to get that emotional education, then realize I warned against this, and then you take your education more seriously.
And that's why I'm actually putting out a video today on YouTube where I talk about like not even starting with all of this money that people think they need this fancy trading setup, and you need the 6 screens, and you need the desk, and you need $25,000 to start. You don't need all of this, because you need to understand in the beginning, you're going to lose it. So the less that you lose, the better it's going to be.
Or break even max.
Ideally, you start out the smallest that you can, the smallest that you can think of, because it's like college, it's like tuition. You're gonna lose because you don't know what's going on, and you're gonna feel like so defeated for so many months. So then all it takes is just one trade to wipe everything out.
Some people are just like, I had it, I suck at trading. But you're taking the wrong approach. I mean, even your fiance, Jack Kellogg, now over 25 million, he lost $10,000 his first 18 months.
Yeah.
It wasn't 10,000 in one trade. It was over a year and a half of trying, and he took 3 months off, and now he's made 25 million. So if you recognize that, you're gonna win small, lose small, or probably break even, best case scenario, right? Then it doesn't put pressure on you in the beginning while you're learning, because that is the tuition, as you said.
Yes. Last one, what's one piece of advice that you give students that you might not share publicly all the time, so that people understand that like what you put out there isn't even half of what you teach us?
There's so much information. One piece of advice that I don't think many people realize, in the public sphere that I teach, specifically with like challenge students and inner circle students, is that you can do this on your own, but it's better to have like an accountability partner. Like the inner circle, we have these quarterly meetups where everyone is doing like these little pods, and that's really worked for Shreddy, it's worked for Jack, it's worked for a lot of millionaire students, where you have like 3, 4, 5 people that you can trust. That's been a beautiful thing. The problem is some of these pods are very bad, because sometimes you get like, let a scammer in and everyone invests in some shady crypto or something like that. So you need people that you can trust. That's why I like the challenge and inner circle, because everyone is paid a lot of money, frankly, to be in there. Everyone's fully invested. Like, this is why we do interviews for the challenge. We don't just let people in. People say, oh, I'll just pay so much money. No, you need to have the right mindset. But if you can get that pod where you understand, okay, we're going to bounce ideas back and forth. You don't want to copy anybody else's trade, but keep yourself accountable and talking it out. Like, you and Jack talk things out. Like, it's great to talk things out in the beginning. Never be afraid to be embarrassed or like have a loss that you don't understand, because we're all trying to learn from our wins and our losses. So whatever you can do, obviously journal, but that's public information. Everyone should be journaling. You should be journaling every single trade. Track what went right, what went wrong, your entry, your exit. Could you have done better? Could you have made a better plan? Did you stick to your plan? What patterns are you good at? You create spreadsheets, and then you size up based on your data. You can't size up when you don't have an accountability partner, when you don't have risk management, when you don't journal, when you don't know your data. A lot of this stuff is not fun to talk about, but it's key to actually enjoy the big gains later on.
I really like having an accountability buddy, because there's a lot of times where you're trading and your emotions take over, and then suddenly you're not even trading strategies or patterns, you're just holding and hoping. It's just like texting somebody and just being like, oh, I'm in this stock, like from X price, like I don't know what I'm doing, and then that person can tell you.
Get a second pair of eyes, right? Get a second opinion. If someone tells you you're dying of cancer, you say, no, I want a second opinion.
That happens with me and Jack. A lot of the times he'll be in trades and I'm like, no, like size down, or why are you adding? Like, this makes no sense.
We get tunnel vision, right? Like, we want all our trades to work out, but then sometimes we lose track of the plot.
And it's human nature too. Human nature doesn't want to lose. We have ego. We don't want to cut losses because we always want to be right. But the longer that we hold that stock, the more painful it's going to be.
True.
The other day I was trading GLMD around $1, and then I ended up taking it off at around like 90 cents for a $150 loss.
Yeah.
But now it's trading around like 70 cents or something like that, and I would have lost 3,000.
Yeah.
So the next day I lost 150. The next day I made like 500. So I was already good.
Yeah.
But if I had lost at 3,000, imagine how many trades it would have taken.
It's such a slippery slope, okay? And then you try to make back your big losses with more bigger trades, and then you lose again. Now you're down 5,000, 6,000, and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have been down 5,000 or 6,000. Let me go even bigger. Then you lose another 5,000, and you're like, I suck at trading. But you're just falling down a slippery slope that can be avoided.
Exactly. So having a trading accountability buddy is really important, because the other people can sense it, and then it can make you think like, oh wait, maybe I should stop, or maybe I shouldn't add. And then also these trading accountability buddies can also help you sometimes when you're doing really good, but you're not sizing up and you have your process, you're doing good, you're in sync. Sometimes that little person can tell you, maybe you should go a little bit bigger. So they can actually help you do better and then cut your losses a lot sooner.
Shout out to Himini. He's in the inner circle. He's been coming to all the events. He's been in the challenge for 10 years. He never sized up. Now he's finally like, okay, I understand everything. His previous biggest win was only $100 at the end of 2025. I was like, come on, man, it's been a decade. Like, you've studied enough, like, try sizing up. Now everything is clicking, and he's been making an average of $1,500 to $2,000 a day. He had a $25,000 month last month. Mind you, this is somebody who never even had like $1,000 month. This is what I'm saying, where you can grow your earnings exponentially, where it's like, you're not just, oh, I make $1,000 this month. Maybe if I do well, I can make $1,200 this month. He went from $1,000 a month in profits at the end of 2025. Now in 2026, $25,000 last month. He is sizing up. And again, it took me and a bunch of other people in the inner circle to be like, push, just a little push.
Yeah. And I joined one of the inner circles the other day, one of the pods, and that was really good because, well, first of all, now there's more women traders that want to learn, but there were like 5 of us in the pod, and then we were talking about risk management. So it's like everybody can share their experience, and we all shared our rules. I have like a whole list of my notebook. I have a whole list of rules because that's really important, but I was able to share it with others, and they were able to share their rules with me. So it helps because now we're in a world where information just flows. It's like everybody's just sharing all their information with all the social media, all of different platforms that we have. So we're at an advantage, but you just need to use it.
You need good information too. Because there's a lot of information, there's a lot of misinformation and bad information. I know a lot of people who have pods and chat rooms, and they're just doing the wrong strategy, and they're risking blowing up when it can be avoided.
Yeah.
You know, like, this is why you and I don't short sell, because we've just seen so many squeezes. I wish I could get through to short sellers. We just saw a walk yesterday go from 20 cents to $7. And then pre-market, it got up to like $12 a share. Now it's down to $4 a share. Some of these plays look very tempting, long and short, but there's very extreme slippage. So you have to be careful.
You reached the end of part 1, and this conversation ended up being a lot longer than we expected. So in this part, we talk about Tim's story, my story, the mistakes we made early on, and how the beginning aspect got us to where we are now. And in part 2, we're going to be talking about the challenge, why beginning traders might take longer than others to reach certain milestones, and a lot more. So make sure to subscribe for part 2.